All right, everybody. In this episode, Dave and I talk about what we do with our money before we invest, give, spend, and pay taxes with it.
Oh, you pay taxes? Just kidding. Yeah, and we're also going to talk about the four S's that that doing this before you invest provides you. There's some very key things that this is going to provide you. So stay tuned, listen up, and also as a little bonus, we're going to give you an idea. Next time you're at a party and somebody asks, "What do you do?" Try this one, and report back. Tell us how it worked for you. So enjoy the episode, everybody. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Paul.
And we're going to challenge you to transform your financial future through the principles of the most profitable business in the world, banking.
We believe everyone should be involved in two businesses, the business that you're in and the banking business. Everyday people can replicate what bankers have been doing for centuries to leverage capital and build wealth through private lending.
Join us as we uncover the truths about money, expose lies and myths, and flip conventional financial advice on its head. Here we go. Hey, buddy. How you doing, Paul?
Fine, Dave. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, real good, man. Been a quiet few days. I shipped off like 5 of the kids to California to go hang out with their uncle.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they got some beach time and cousin time and all that good stuff. So,
Nice.
But they're all coming home tonight, so the house will get rowdy again.
Right.
Yeah,
For sure.
But no, it's been nice though. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, same old, same old. My my army job is winding down, so I don't have that much time left in that office, which is nice. Although I've enjoyed the time with the people for the last 37 months, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you bringing in the cake for your last day?
The end of August is my last day, so I guess that wasn't. Is that what you guys do? You bring cake?
Oh, I don't know.
Might bring
I remember
beer.
when we were downrange, you bought pizza for the office. You remember
Right.
that?
That's right.
Yeah, because
That's
you
true.
left a month or two before me or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was garbage pizza. It was Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
So
Which is
it
disgusting.
was the best we got. Yeah, whatever, you deal with what you got. Yeah. Well, all right, man. Good. Let's talk about something we probably mentioned before, but
For sure.
this is something that needs to be hit on time and time again, because so many people, I mean, the way we're taught and we're marketed to, and all these books and magazines and YouTube videos and everything, it's all about investing. Like, hey, you've got to be an investor. I mean, I noticed this with my own, with my oldest. He's like, I need to start investing my money. I'm like, well, how much do you have saved up? And why would you invest money when you don't have anything saved up? Don't you have to spend money to live and to do things with? So, we say you want to do this one thing before you ever invest. Anybody who tells you to invest, like, as being the first thing you should ever do with your money, is somebody I would not give my time to. Just move on.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to move on. Although that's the advice we were all given as young men,
Yeah.
as young military officers. It was invest, 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 invest. Nothing about capital, nothing about controlling the banking function. Certainly not the infinite banking concept, right?
No, but we might have been offered whole life insurance, but not as a place to capitalize or store
Right.
money whatsoever.
Yeah, just from a protection standpoint, which again, important for sure. Had
Yeah.
its place, just not exactly the right, not the right mindset, or not the right, we didn't get the right instruction on how to use the product, nor did we have the correct product through which to practice the infinite banking concept, right? So,
Right. But even then, you're talking right out of college, you commission, you move to your first duty location, and one of the first things that happens is you get introduced to a financial planning organization that caters to the military.
right.
And you start talking to them, and the first thing they tell you to do is invest in this front load mutual fund.
Yeah,
That's what it was at the time, right? The front loaded
it was
mutual
the same
fund.
thing. They took
Yeah.
50% of your contribution for the first 12 months.
Yeah. And then try to convince you that that only equated to 2% fees over the
Right.
lifetime of your investment. So, and to young, ignorant kids who never had a single investment class in college, oh, that sounds pretty good. Thanks for showing me that number. Why don't you show me the number of the opportunity cost that I'm missing out of by not being able to compound that 50% you're taking from me for the next 40 years?
Yeah, they put a good spin on it for sure, and it's somewhat embarrassing that looking back that I didn't think of. Well, yeah, well, why am I doing that? Or what's the opportunity cost on? What if I calculated all that money I'm going to give you, which was at the time $1,500 for that year? I remember it was
Wow.
half of because back then you could put three
That's a
thousand in a
paycheck.
Roth IRA. Yep, it was 15. That was more than one of my paychecks actually,
Yep.
for a 2 week period or whatever.
Yeah.
I think back then I was making like $1,200 every 2 weeks or something. Felt like I was loaded. I was like, oh, look at all this money.
I know, right? Yeah.
But anyway, it was. But aside from the whole life aspect and the savings aspect, which is really just a hey, build up your emergency fund type thing, there was no discussion of sequence or building real capital. But again, the people telling you to do these things, they're doing the best they can. They're only telling you what they're trained to tell you. They don't really know anything aside from that. So it's not surprising. But that is still 22 years later the typical advice people are getting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's sad. If you read some books, I mean, we've talked about the wealth pyramid before. I believe
Yes.
that's in Heads
It's
I
in
Win,
Heads
Tails
I
You
Win,
Lose.
Tails You Lose, Patrick Donahoe's book,
Yeah. So
amongst
great
others, I
book.
think. Yep.
Yeah. Great book. And what I really got from that is, there's a wealth pyramid. At the bottom is the foundation where you have maximum control and minimal risk
Right.
with your money. And at the top of the pyramid, ideally you should work your way up to at the very top is where you have the least amount of control and the most amount of risk.
Right.
But, what comes along with that is potentially the highest rate of return.
Sure.
What we are taught to do is flip that upside down and start by putting our money somewhere where we have zero control. We take 100% of the risk, and the rate of return is not that impressive, after
No,
many
it's
years of having it there.
no, it's
Right.
not. You would never build anything like that with a weak foundation. Which, of course, if you picture an upside down pyramid, is a
It's a
pointy
dreidel.
foundation. It's not going to stand.
No, probably not going to
Right.
stand.
No.
Yeah. So if you take the conventional advice and just do the exact inverse, go in the inverse order, because really it's like, hey, you need to build all this money, you need to invest, invest, invest. And then when you have enough money built up, accumulated, you should think about protecting it.
Right.
Well, what about all that money you lost that slipped through your hands over the years that wasn't protected in the first place? What if you thought, first and foremost, I'm going to protect my principal? Because, man, we work our tails off for money. From when you graduate, maybe even in high school, like, I got sons
Sure.
that work right now. They're working their butts off to get a little bit of money. Like it's really, if you think about it in number of hours that you lost, like when you lose money in an investment, how many man hours did that take me to accumulate that money that's now gone forever?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that puts it into perspective.
It sure does. I've been rereading Bob Castiglione's book, the Leap
Yeah.
Method or whatever.
Yeah.
And I hadn't touched that book in probably 5 years when you recommended it to me or whatever. But all the things that are against you, right? As a young person coming into the working world, when they get their first pay stub and they pay $30 of something in federal income tax, another few dollars in FICA, and they're like, what is this? And you have to explain that to them, like, well, that's the government redistributing your labor and wealth to somebody else, right? It's wealth redistribution is all it is,
Right.
and it becomes a debilitating way to think about it, but it's true. That's what it's for. But there's so many things that the deck is stacked against you with taxes, with inflation, with, like you said, all that money just slipping through your fingers. So you don't even realize. And that's the problem, right? People don't even realize that they're focused on this 5% of their money that they're saving, or maybe they're doing twice as good as everybody else and they're saving 10%. Maybe even some people are paying, saving 20% of their income. But most people aren't. They're
Yeah.
focused on that 5 or 10%, and the rest is just slipping away, right? And that's why what we're going to talk about today is so important. We're going to talk about sequence of our capital, which we mention a lot, but it bears repeating often because that's what we're trying to do here with the infinite banking concept is sequence our dollars to get the most bang for our buck, and not lose those dollars that otherwise would have vanished by just living the conventional way.
Right. Because one of the great things about the infinite banking concept is you learn that sequencing makes a huge difference and can make all the difference over the course of many years. Significant difference by just sequencing it in the right order. So do this, then that.
That's right.
You can put the same dollars through multiple places before it leaves your hands. And by doing that, you're going to capture something along the way.
Yes, it's not difficult. It's not a difficult concept to understand, right? We've said this often on this podcast, is that we do the same things with our money that everybody else does. We invest money, we save money, right? We finance things. The difference is we are putting our money here first, and then it's going to go do all of those other things. And if you're on the fence about this because you have doubts in the product, I think that's a hang up of a lot of people, Dave. Whether you can go on, Mr. Ramsey's YouTube page and read the comments about. I mean, people are just regurgitating what he says, and they believe it, but they haven't investigated anything else at all. They have no idea what they're talking about. God bless them. I feel bad for them, honestly, but the product does work as Nelson says it does, and does work as we talk about on this podcast, right? We use our life insurance contracts to finance the things of life, including investment opportunity, right? So it really does work.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of things that are left out because that discussion, all the naysayers, it's only about the product. Okay, and you can pick any product apart if you want to. You can find cons in any product because there's trade-offs. Every product has trade-offs. There's no such thing as a perfect product that's going to give you everything you want immediately.
Yeah. They're all bashing whole life insurance. Meanwhile, they're all stuffing their money into mutual funds that come riddled with tremendous amount of fees and a tremendous amount of sales charges. They have no idea what they're investing. I mean, it's just
And risk. Right.
yes.
So sequencing, if that's the first step, what that does for us is sequencing our capital first through our system, our infinite banking policies, our specially properly designed dividend paying whole life proper policies. Sequencing the capital through there really creates security. So now I know I have some guarantees in life. I know my principal is going to be protected. I know it's going to be compounding uninterrupted for me in the background for as long as I live, assuming dividends are paid out every year. Which are not guaranteed, but pretty good track record. So that creates a lot of security for me. Plus the permanent death benefit should anything happen to me, before it should, naturally. Sure. My family would be taken care of. But going the opposite way, if the first place your dollars are sequenced is into an investment where it involves risk, which is probability of loss, where's your security? The mantra for the Dave Ramsey types are, hey, do this for long enough. The stock market goes up, it goes down, but over the long term, it's going to go up. Historically, that may be the case. Of course, it all depends on when you put it in and when you need to take it out. It could not be the case. But where, though, is the security? Supposedly, you're going to have that security 40 years from now when you're going to have enough built up that you can self-insure and you don't need anything else and you can live off of that. Yeah. But is that real security? Are there guarantees involved anywhere?
No, there's not. And you mentioned self-insuring, and it's super annoying when I hear that because there's no such thing. You're just going without insurance. right? You're going without, you are assuming you are retaining all of the risk, right? It's like your commander saying, hey, go attack that bunker. Are you coming? No.
Seems a little
Right?
risky.
And of course that happens.
Yeah.
Right. So you were retaining all the risk. And of course, why? When there's no reason to. There's no reason to retain all the risk.
Because there's nothing sexy and exciting, Paul, about not taking risk.
Boring.
Like, what are all the
whole life insurance? It's
yeah, but I mean, if you put that in relate that to like a life, like movies aren't made about people who don't take risks, right? There's no excitement there. There's nothing to discuss. It's just boredom. So nobody thinks about saving,
we could make
capitalizing.
the movie. It could be called The Men Who Didn't Build America.
Yeah, that's actually a really good series on Amazon.
Yeah,
right?
and
The Men Who
I
Built
said that
America.
for a reason, obviously. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen that, folks, The Men Who Built America, it's probably 10 years old by now.
Yeah, like
So,
Carnegie and Rockefeller and
Yeah.
Vanderbilt. Yeah,
Yeah.
great series. Um, yeah. Anyway, but we're super boring with our money, and nobody wants to talk about that at a cocktail party. Not that anybody goes to cocktail parties anymore, but you go to hang out with your friends, and they're all talking about this blue chip stock, or I'm in Tesla, or I got Apple stock, or I'm in Bitcoin and crypto all the way, baby. That's exciting, right? Because there's a potential payoff in the future. Oh, I
no
put
question.
my money in whole life insurance, and it grows consistently, and I get dividends every year,
And there's no
and
tax.
and there's no taxes on the growth. Yeah, they're gonna say next.
Yeah.
Let's
that's
talk
so
about something
boring.
exciting. Yeah, so boring, but yeah, I think
Or
that's one
what
of the
we
big
would
reasons.
what we would most likely say though is this, in reality. The first thing I do with my money is pay life insurance premium. I pay X amount of dollars in whole life insurance premium every year. And then everything that y'all just talked about, then I go do that. Well, why do you do that? Well, I have my money doing multiple things. My dollars are doing multiple jobs, right? We talked about that a lot on this podcast. Do you want to give your dollars one job, or maybe two or three?
Yeah, guess what the underlying business I'm involved in is? It's not selling and pumping whole life insurance.
We do
It's
pump it though.
We do pump it. We pump it pretty hard. But that's my business. But my primary business, foundational business, is reselling money. I resell my own cash over
It's-
and over and over. That's what I
It's
do.
banking, like just
It's
like the
banking.
banks do. And
Yeah.
and the difference is, they're you're selling your cash. The bank is selling your cash too.
Oh yeah, true. Right. So
Right?
somebody's playing banker in your life.
Right.
Who is it? If it's not you, it's somebody else.
And I think that gets lost when people are, and I was reading this the other day too, we're confusing product and process, right?
Yeah.
Banking is a process. The infinite banking concept is a process. It's not, but a lot of times, with the shiny objects on YouTube or wherever, it's pimped as this special thing, this product. Oh, it's an IBC is a product, or it's an account. You hear that all the time. And my clients know I will always correct you. We're paying premium, right? We're not investing in life insurance. We're not doing this. We're paying premium to a whole life insurance company who guarantees the contract, right? Your job is just pay the premium. So anyway, people just confuse, what is happening. And since they don't know what is happening, they don't know what to do. So where do they go? Buy term and invest the difference.
Yeah. Right, because that's what they heard. But
It's the best strategy, Dave, didn't you know, for every single person in America?
it is the one size fits all. It's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Those mutual
So-
funds are going to provide so much passive income in retirement for you. It's going to be great.
Yep.
Social Security is still going to be there. It's going to be great. You'll never get sick. You'll never have to go to the hospital.
There'll never be something unplanned, an event that you never expected to
No,
happen.
it's
Like
all
COVID.
going to be it's going to be great. It's gonna be
Right.
great.
So speaking of something like COVID, where the government shuts down your constitutional, your God-given right to exchange your labor for money. And all of a sudden, you have no way to earn money. Now you're making decisions from a position of weakness.
Sure.
You're saying, you're bending over to the government saying, "Yep, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Just let me keep my job. Let me keep earning money somehow." So now, because of what we do, we sequence our money. It creates security for us, and now we get to make decisions from a position of strength.
That's right.
I mean, I've done that. I think, I've talked about my background a few times, but I transitioned careers like 3 times in 4 years, complete 180. And the reason I was able to do that and wasn't scared to do it is because I was able to make that decision from a position of strength. I had access to capital that I didn't have to ask permission to access. I didn't need to fill out, a bunch of paperwork and request it. I didn't need to pay taxes or penalties to access it. I had access to it, unrestricted. And that gave me the freedom and the strength to transition careers until I finally found something that fit me, which is this.
Right. Yep. You learned, many years ago now, thanks to our friend, that you should be in the banking business. You should be in 2 businesses, right? The business that you're in, which is whatever, your job, your business, maybe you're a contractor, in the banking business. So you learned 15 years ago or so, give or take, that you should be in the banking business. And that saved you. And here you are now, right? Very successful guy, family man, husband, brother, friend, all those things, because you put your money, what a concept, where you could get to it.
Yeah. That is a crazy concept. When you say it like that, that almost is, it's like, oh, well, that's obvious. Of course, I should put my money somewhere I can get to it. But it's not what we do.
It's not. I'm living proof of that. All of y'all making extra payments on your car payment, extra payments on your mortgage, extra payments on your credit cards because you think you're saving interest. You're giving up interest that you otherwise could earn had you done something else with it.
Yeah.
And people are always shocked at me when I have that conversation. Like, I'm never going to pay off that house that I'm building, ever.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep refinancing it and pulling the cash out for as long as the banks allow me to do that. We might be all, socialists here in a few years. Who knows? But, walking on our treadmills just so we create power and energy for the home.
Keep the lights on. Yeah.
But, all joking aside, home equity is dead money. It doesn't do me any good in the walls of the house other than it looks good on maybe your net worth, personal financial statement, which, whatever.
Yeah.
But you can't get to it.
So here's what would make some interesting conversation if you're afraid of appearing boring at the next adult party you go to because you're not investing all your money in the market, some high risk deal, and you're not in crypto and all of that stuff. When somebody asks, "So what do you do, Paul?" Just respond by saying, "I'm in the banking business." "Oh, what does that mean?" "I resell money." "Oh, and I also am a school teacher. I dabble in school teaching." Or for myself, I dabble in life insurance sales. Or, I'm also a commercial pilot. But my primary business is I'm in the banking business. I'm a banker. Like, what kind of mental switch would that flip if that was your response and the way you thought about yourself? If you are following the infinite banking concept, like many, our clients who are listening, next time somebody asks you what you do, just try that on for size. Just say, "I'm in the banking business." Because that's a lot more intriguing than probably what you actually do. Because everybody's intrigued by the banking business. They think you know something about money that they don't. And they're right. Because you do know something about money. There's even a book out there.
The Mystery of... Is it The Mystery of Banking?
I don't know that one.
Is that what it is? One of the Austrians, and if Ryan ever heard this, he'd slap me. But I'm pretty sure it's called that. Let me do a little... You keep talking. I'm going to look it up real quick.
Yeah. So, because we get asked, everybody gets asked, "What do you do?" I guess it depends on where in the country you are. In the North, it's what do you do? In the South, it's mostly like, where are you from? You know, they're more personal about that.
Yes.
But it's yeah, try that. Well, because truly, that's my first job. I'm in the banking business for my
Yep.
family.
That's right. I just a side note here. I was right. I didn't want to say his name, but it's Murray Rothbard. So the
Okay.
Ministry of Banking, Murray Roth, 1983. 286 pages. I have not read that, full disclosure, but I know that's it's on my list of to reads. Really, I really like reading his stuff. So
Yeah. No, it is good stuff.
people are always looking for book recommendations. The Mystery of Banking, Murray Rothbard.
Yep. There you go. All right. I'll have to get that one too. So, you know, we've talked about sequencing. That helps create security, which allows you to make decisions from a position of strength, which ensures what?
Success,
I would agree.
and it really does. Uh, you know, we say this a lot, but it's very true. You know, I feel extremely thankful that I was able to. You know, you sent me. You were. You know, you thought, oh, Paul would, and this would resonate with him, the infinite banking concept. And of course, had no idea what it was. And I'm thankful, you know, for that, and I'm thankful for being able to see it in the way it was supposed to be seen,
Yeah.
as a again that mindset of you know, being independent, right? Being able to make decisions from a position of strength. It has added all those attributes instead of just being strapped for cash all the time, or just being, you know, looking at your 401k balance. I mean, I'm sorry folks, but your 401k balance, if it can't be used as money, it has no value. It's not really money, is it? Kind of like what we always say, the value of a dollar you can't spend is zero.
Right.
So your 401k isn't money, your IRA is not money. It will be someday, and it's going to be taxed if it's not Roth. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
We
No,
all,
that's good.
we
But
all
I think
have
this is
them,
it's a good discussion to get away from the product and focus more on the process. That's why when somebody asks, you know, what do you do with your money? Maybe don't say, I put it into life insurance. Maybe that's not the first thing you say. Maybe the first thing you say is, I resell it. Oh, what does that mean? Well, that's what the banks do with your money. I just do the same thing with my own money. I resell my money. How I resell it, well, if you want to know how, this is how I do it. I sequence it here first and if you want to know more about that, check out my buddies Paul and Dave. Check out their webcast, their podcast and their website, which is thewealthwarehousepodcast.com. I want to throw that
right?
out there again. So
Yes.
we actually created some videos, which I believe were released in the previous episode. The videos that are going to be up on the website, so you can send your friends, your family, anybody who's interested in hearing about this to the website. They can watch a couple training videos and then contact us, get in touch with us, and schedule time. So feel free to put that one out there and create more bankers in your life. Because I tell you what's a lot more fun than being your own banker is being around other people who are also their own banker. Because you'll notice the creativity that's in the group of people who practice the infinite banking concept is so much greater than any group I've ever been involved in. Everybody
Yeah, and
else
it's
is
not.
it's almost like I have a hard time really relating to people because
Yeah,
I'm not stimulated mentally by 95% of the people I encounter.
sure.
It's that rare 5% who are, you know, open to or actively being their own banker, who really stimulate my mind. And man, I get a lot of enjoyment out of just having conversations with people like that, right? It stokes creativity.
Yeah, it's a totally different experience. You know, generally speaking, it's just nice being around like-minded people. But especially those who are, you know, most of the people we know are practicing the infinite banking concept anyway. So,
Yeah.
and you're right. But again, they're allowed. They have a license to be creative, right? They don't have this. And we have several clients that always tell us this when we speak with them, is that it's taken away the angst and the anxiety that I've had over my finances. Like, I know I'm building wealth. I'm building generational wealth here. I still have access to my capital. I can do anything I want with it when I want to. And that is, even though they were on paper doing very well, these people, right? All our clients are very successful in their own way at various levels. But it has totally changed their mindset and how they think about not only now, but the future, right? What their future is going to look like for their family, what it's going to look like for their legacy, all because they did something so silly and put their money where they could get to it. Yep. Oh, and it's in whole life insurance. Oh my God.
Yeah. Great point, man. All right. Well, that was good. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And again, get away from the product. You got to understand the product, but get away from that and focus more on the process, because the process is where the creativity is. So,
yeah. And lastly, that made me think of something. Let me put this in perspective in case someone from the Dave Ramsey crew actually listens to this episode and listens to what I'm going to say. Everything that you love about him, we're doing the same thing. You want to pay cash for cars? Great.
Yeah.
Put it in a whole life insurance policy first. Now there's no opportunity cost in that money. Think about that for a second. You don't know that because you don't know anything about whole life.
Yep.
You don't know that because you don't know anything about whole life insurance. You have no idea how the product works, how it's designed, that the cash value is the present value of the death benefit. You have no idea about any of these things. Maybe you should.
Yeah. You want to save, 6 months of emergency fund money. You want to save 10% of your income every month. He's doing the same thing we're doing. We're just doing it in different places and doing it somewhere else first.
There's a lot more common ground than they think. Oh, it's just this one product that they just don't get. Yeah. And shame on them.
But that's why it's more of a process. So focus on the process, and that's really 80% of it.
Yep.
So, all right, everybody. Well, hey, have a good week, and we'll catch you next week. Until then, control your capital.
Or somebody else will.
Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. If you'd like to have a conversation with us to see how you can become your own banker, or if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to tackle on a future episode, please send us an email to davidandpaul@theibcguys.com.
And subscribe and leave us a review if you're on Apple. Follow and leave us a 5-star review if you're on Spotify. And please share this with your friends. We'll see you next week.